everybody, it's Katie, the Celestial Homebody, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to make these adorable little plushy, squishy Pop-Tarts. You can make them in any flavor that your heart desires. Today I chose to do the cherry flavored Pop-Tart. These are a very quick and easy make. It's a mindless pattern that you can easily batch make for markets while binge watching TV or YouTube, and it's incredibly beginner friendly. You don't need to know how to work in the round. We're just working back and forth here, and the only stitch that you need to know how to do is a single crochet. So without further ado, let's get into it. So for this tutorial, you're going to need a 5.5mm crochet hook, a darning needle, some black embroidery yarn for the mouth, some scissors, and some 12mm safety eyes, and of course some stuffing. You're also of course going to need some yarn. Today for my crust color, I'm going to be using Parfait Chunky in the color Toffee. Blanket yarn works great for these as well, and if you used acrylic for these, I think that they would come out in the perfect size for cute little keychains, so keep that in mind. Depending on what flavor Pop-Tart you plan on doing is the color that you're going to need for the icing. Today, I'm going to be doing the cherry Pop-Tart, so I'm going to be using Parfait Chunky in the color Pink Lemonade, and for my sprinkles, I'm going to be using Parfait Chunky in the color Coral. So to start, I'm going to put a slip knot on my hook, and I'm going to chain 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Now that we have our chain row, we're going to do a foundation row of single crochets all the way across. So we're going to go into the second chain from hook right here, and we're going to do a single crochet, and we're just going to single crochet all the way across. It's okay if your Pop-Tart crust is starting to look a little bit curly. That will be resolved in just a minute here. So once we get to the end of our row, we're going to chain 1 and turn. And now working on the back side of the crust, we are going to single crochet all the way across again. And once we get to the end of our row, we're going to chain 1 and turn. Now we are just going to repeat that over and over again, single crochet all the way across, chain 1, turn, until you have a total of 13 rows. So I will meet you back when we have 13 rows. Okay, so now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13 rows. So to finish off our crust, we're going to do a slip stitch, and then we're going to cut our yarn, just a little tail. You don't need a big tail. Do not put your crust color away because we're going to need that in just a second. We're going to go ahead and pull our hook through to fasten that off, and we are done with our crust. So let's just set this aside for right now and work on our frosting. So for the icing, we're going to want to take our icing color. Like I said, I'm going to be doing a cherry Pop-Tart. So I'm going to be using this really fun pink lemonade color. And we're going to do the same thing that we did for the crust. So we are going to put a slip knot onto our hook and chain 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We're going to single crochet all the way across. And then once we get to the end of our first row, we are going to chain 1 and turn our work. We're going to single crochet back and forth, chaining 1 and turning in between for 13 rows, just like we did with the crust. I will meet you back when you're done with that. Okay, now that I am done with all 13 rows, I'm going to slip stitch and cut my yarn. Do not need a tail on that. And we are completely done with this color. Now let's take our crust and our icing and let's make sure that these line up. And if they don't line up, it's probably just because your tension was a little tighter or looser on one. So it's easy to just kind of stretch it and make them line up. As long as they have the same amount of stitches, that's all we care about. So mine's looking good. So it is now time to take our crust color again, put a slip knot onto our hook, and now we're going to crochet these two pieces together, and we're going to stuff along the way as we do that. So I like to start in the middle just because it's a lot easier just to stuff these ends on the inside when we're not starting at the corner. So we're just going to pick a stitch in the middle here, and we're going to go through both of our icing colors and the crust. And let's make sure that those line up. We can see our corners are lining up nicely. That looks great. And make sure that your icing color is on the front. This is the front of the work, and we want to be looking at our color as we go here. So we're going to go ahead and do one single crochet, and let's go ahead and tuck this end in right now so that we don't have to worry about weaving it in later. And now we're going to continue single crocheting all the way around by putting our hook through both layers of icing and crust and single crocheting. So we're going to do that along these couple of stitches at the top here. Okay, so when we get to the corner, we are going to do the same thing through the icing and through the crust. We're going to single crochet, and I'm going to pause and make sure that this end is tucked in because there's nothing a crocheter hates more than having to weave in ends. Am I right? Okay, so the corners are a little bit different because we don't want them to be pulled taut. So once we do one single crochet in the corner, we're going to chain one, and then we're going to go into that corner space again. And that's going to be able to create a little point instead of rounding the corner and pulling them in. We don't want that. So now continuing down the side here, we're going through both layers of our color and our crust color. And we're just going to crochet all the way around like this. Now, don't forget that we need to add stuffing into this bad boy. So don't crochet all the way around. We're going to leave a little hole opening at the end to stuff our stuffing into. So I'm coming up onto the corner here, so I'll show you one more time how we do that. Into both layers, and make sure you get all 4 loops in both layers. So there should be 2 loops on the front side and 2 loops on the back side that you're going through, totaling to 4. All right, so here we are at the corner again. So we're going to go through our icing color and through our crust corner. We're going to do a single crochet, chain 1, and do another single crochet into that same space. And let's tuck in that end. And we're going to continue single crocheting all the way across, going through both layers. We're going to let's do 2 more stitches here before we add our eyes and start stuffing. Okay, so you can see the Pop-Tart is starting to form. So now let's grab our 12mm safety eyes and let's secure our eyes. So I like to just kind of dry fit them first before we anchor them in with the backs. And I tend to like putting my eyes a little bit higher on my Pop-Tart. I just think they look goofy like that. That's a little bit too high. Let's go down 1 more stitch. Yeah, I think that looks good. And for mine, I have them 1, 2, 3 stitches apart. So I think that those look good. So I'm going to go ahead and pop the backs on these guys. All right, so our eyes are in. Let's do a couple more stitches before we start to stuff. You can absolutely start stuffing now, but when I tend to stuff too early, then the stuffing's popping out and then it's getting caught on my hook and it just turns into a nightmare. So I like to crochet as much as I can up until the hole is just about too small to get anything into. So I'm actually going to go all the way up this side, and I'll leave that corner open for now to stuff. All right, so let's take our stuffing. And with these guys, you don't want to stuff them too firm. You want them to lay flat. You don't want them to look domed. If you overstuff them, then they're going to have a domed shape. We want them to be relatively flat, but still squishy and cuddly. So once we've got it stuffed most of the way, I am going to put my hook back in and we're going to continue crocheting around. We've got an end right here that I'm going to tuck inside of there. All right, and that is the end. So to finish it off, we're going to go back into the loop that we started on, and we're going to slip stitch to finish. Let's cut our yarn and leave a little bit of a tail so that we can pull it through. And there we have the base of our Pop-Tart. And sometimes they need a little finagling to make the corners nice and square. Also, you might notice that I have a couple of holes at the top. That's because I was sitting in a really awkward position trying to film, so my tension was really loose. But when I crocheted normally in my normal position, you can see there aren't any holes, so please excuse those. Okay, so for this little string here, I'm going to go up through the back, grab onto that string and just pull it through the body. And I'll do that again to hide it into the inside of the Pop-Tart. My goodness, if I can grab it. There we go. All right, I'm just gonna pull that down, and then I can take the back of my needle and stuff in that end. Okay, so there is the base of our Pop-Tart. Let's embroider the details. Okay, so at this point you're going to need your needle, and I just need a teeny tiny little bit of black thread here. Now I like to do a smile on my Pop-Tarts, but you can absolutely make your Pop-Tart surprised or angry or whatever face you want, but I'm going to teach you how to do a smile. So I would like to go in through the cheek here and up through where the smile is going to start on one side. I'm going to go over 2 stitches, like 1.5 stitches here. And also I like to put my mouth like right in between the eyes. I just think it creates a super little chibi adorable look. So if I were to just end here, that would make my mouth straight across, which is totally fine. You can do that. But since I want mine to be in a smile, I'm actually going to pop my needle up through this stitch, pull it through, and now to finish it, I'm going to go over my line, back into that same stitch that I just came out of, and then back through the cheek. Uh-oh, I lost my yarn along the way. Gotta weave that in now. All right, so we're gonna pull that tight. Got fuzz sticking out here. And if you need to, you can take your needle and kind of pull it into the shape that you want it to be. And I think that that looks super cute. So we're going to tie a little knot in this. I probably cut my yarn a wee bit too short, but that's okay. And now I'm going to trim the ends and then take the back of my needle and stuff that inside of the PopTart. And there we go. We've got the little smile. So there's only one step left, and that is to embroider the details. So since I'm doing a cherry Pop-Tart, I'm going to take this darker pink. We'll go about that much. And I need my needle again. And I'm going to do the same technique where I kind of go through the side somewhere. And I'm going to just embroider a bunch of little sprinkles. So when I'm on my last sprinkle, I'm going to go all the way down to where I started. And just like I did with the eyes, I'm going to tie a knot into the ends here, double knot. Cut the tails, and with this fuzzy yarn I also like to take a little bit off the end so it doesn't shed on the inside. And then we'll take our needle and stuff in that knot. All right, and there you have it, your cute little plushy Pop-Tart. Like I said, if you did this in acrylic yarn, you could totally add a little keychain, and I think it would make the most adorable little keychain. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed. Leave me a comment and let me know what type of Pop-Tart you made, and I will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.